Hey there guys, and welcome back to another video. I am going to review this set of Toki Alcohol Markers today. I purchased this a while back. Actually, it's probably a year ago now. So this is the C set, main C set, with 12 markers in it. I just happened to come across this online and they seemed interesting. They have a chisel nib on one side and then they have the bullet nib on the other side. There's barely any bleeding, or at least it does bleed through the paper, but not really onto the paper under there again. This marker in particular was very dry on the bullet nib side. It could just be that they've been stored for a long time. It happens. I've received dry markers many times. This brown one also had a very dry nib on the bullet nib side. It's impossible to know which number this is. Why? I just made a guess. Since 97 and 98, they were closer in color likeness, I suppose. They didn't make a terribly smooth gradient, but then again I did use the bullet nib. So while I was sketching, my thought process was that I just really wanted to use absolutely all of the colors in the set. What's the point of the whole set if I'm not going to use all the colors, you know? So I was trying different ways of doing that. I really love this kind of loose gesture drawing where, you know, the accuracy isn't that important. When I was younger, I would draw very stiff. My lines were stiff and everything had to be accurate, and it didn't look very good. So I've trained myself in being more loose with my sketching, and it has definitely benefited me. But I always lose that energy when I transfer it to an actual piece. So for these pieces that I'm gonna make today, I decided to keep it as loose as possible and not try to really fine-tune it in any way. Just leave it energetic. So here I'm comparing the blending abilities with other markers that I have. It's definitely easier to blend with a brush nib. However, the Copics usually have more subtle colors, they're more subdued. And the cheaper brands usually have more vibrant colors. Twin Markers is another cheap brand that I bought at a store called Normal here in Norway. Both the Toki and the Twin Marker pinks were super juicy. I don't know what's up with that, but I guess there it is. Another thing that's very difficult with these cheap brands is to blend colors that are very opposite from each other, especially complementary contrasts. Very hard to blend together. It's much easier with, for example, the Copics. But then again, they do have the advantage of having a brush nib. And then we have the Winsor Newton well, it's not Leverset anymore, it's Pro Markers and Brush Markers. The cheaper brands, they are, yeah, the pink was so juicy, it just went straight through the paper. Like a champ. So the Toki ones, they were very smelly, but so are the Winsor Newton ones. The Winsor Newton markers have the best ink in my opinion. I wish I could get the Copic barrel and brush nib, but with the Winsor Newton ink. It really is too bad that the Winsor Newton don't sell ink separately to the refill. It really is too bad. If you're wondering what that thing in the plastic is, it's just my kneaded eraser. I keep it in the plastic because if it's just laying loose in my pencil case, it just picks up all kinds of things. It gets dirty and useless. So yeah, that's the only reason I do that. one thing I can say about these markers so far is that they're fine markers. Can't really complain. Now that I've used them a little bit, they don't seem that dry after all. I guess they just needed to stand upright for a bit and let the nib drown for a bit. Just really soak up the ink, maybe? I don't know. But I had no trouble with it once I started the art. As for the blending, they're not really the best for blending. Like I said, especially with the absolute colors. But if you can get a decent blend when you use the chisel nib with colors that are close to each other on the color wheel. Here I'm using just regular Bristol paper. So the colors did bleed through, but they didn't bleed onto the paper underneath, interestingly enough. As you can see here, trying my best to keep the strokes just light and wobbly and just energetic and, you know, forgiving. And I'm trying different ways of doing the hair. Do I want the hair to overlap? Do I want it to not overlap? Do I want the hair to have an outline? Does that interfere with the body shape? You know, these things. You gotta think about them. For this last piece, I really wanted to have a different type of silhouette instead of having this open and flashy movement. I wanted a closed position, like protecting something or humans' weakest point is the abdomen, so we tend to cover that part of our body if we're scared or nervous. So yeah, that's what's happening here, I guess. You can interpret it as you will. I didn't really put that much thought into it. Here I use the hair as a type of border. Kind of like this expression. Also attempted some sort of background almost. So these pieces, they are very similar, but they also have different techniques and they are different in their own ways. I want to make a print set of these. That would be a lot of fun. These alcohol markers, they're pretty good. You know, for a beginner, they're great. They have this was the C set main. I guess they have A and B sets. I don't know why I didn't look at the other. I don't think I chose the C set. I just saw a set. I bought the set. The set arrived. It had the colors it had. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll be back for the next one. So long!